This is a new day. Hope is wide and open grave. God, you have shattered death. When love like the sunrise steals what was dark and cold away. The kingdom at hand.
Hey guys, it's Adam again. It's day 9, and I'm driving on the freeway, the highway. I never figured out which one is which. Anyway, I'm driving from Tucson to Phoenix. I'm driving up to meet up with some guys I know, some friends of mine, some brothers in the faith who have a ministry and a podcast called The Creaky Pew. And they asked me to come up and be a guest on this week's episode, so I'm driving up there to record, and I'm excited about it. These guys do a great weekly show, and if you haven't checked it out before, go to iTunes and subscribe. If you just search for Creaky Pew Podcast, it's the only one you're going to get, and just hit that subscribe button and leave them some love after you've listened to an episode or two, and let them know what you think. Also, you can check out, there's a website, namelessministries.com, which is a ministry that I help out with and that I work with, and we help house that podcast. We're their server online, and if you want to check out our website, you can link right to it from the website, which is namelessministries.com. And I think today I really wanted to kind of talk about, because this is such a podcast that's got a lot of technology going into it. I think I kind of wanted to talk about the role that technology plays in our faith. And so, I mean, Abe and I consider myself fairly up to date with the times. You know, I mean, I utilize a lot of technology both in my work, my secular work, and my ministry work, and in my everyday life. That's something that's kind of a part of who I am. And I know that Abe does the same thing a lot, and we do a lot of different like tech-based things for our churches and for different ministries, etc. And you know, I'm going up to record a podcast, and you know, we do all this vlogging and stuff like that. And sometimes, you know, I think that it's this interesting dichotomy between two positions. One of which is absolutely we should be using technology. You know, it's the way that culture is going, and why shouldn't our faith embrace that direction of culture? But at the same time, we can kind of be a detriment, you know? Like sometimes we get separated from the beauty of our faith because we get so caught up in so many things that are technical and modern. And I mean, just in simple ways, you know? Like for example, on my iPhone, I can read the Bible, I can read the Catechism, I can pray the liturgy at the hours. You know, if I have questions about things, I can look up those questions really quickly. But at the same time, I firmly believe that there is absolutely no substitute for a ink and paper Bible, for an actual copy of the Catechism, for trying to figure out and stumble your way through that book for the liturgy of the hours. But sometimes it's about meeting us where we're at, and I think that that's where the healthy medium comes in. You know, our church very much talks about, and John Paul II was extremely in favor of, and so absolutely it's Benedict XVI, of this direction called the new evangelization. A lot of times people think that that's just about utilizing new technology and modern media in evangelizing and spreading the faith, but I think it's a lot more than, you know, being able to access things on an iPhone app, or you know, how we're evangelizing using like Twitter and things like that. It's a lot bigger than that. I think it's also about, and this is what the church has said about it, it's not just about the tools that we utilize, but that we have a renewed spirit for evangelizing to people. You know, the Great Commission, which is found at the end of the Gospel of Matthew, we are called, it's not just an exhortation to the leadership of the church, but it's an exhortation to Christians, that we're called to go, spread the gospel, that good news, and baptize. And now, not all of us are going to be baptizing every day, but that call to evangelize rests on all of us. And it's not just a matter of using the most modern things, or having the flashiest looking meetings, or you know, the best worship nights, or whatever, but it's also about making a true, like, wholehearted return to the spirit of evangelizing and why we need to evangelize. It's not just, it should be just as important as the fact that we were commanded to do it by Christ. I think it's also important to realize that when we find something that we love, we want to share it with people. And the best way that I can find out, the best way I can kind of connect with this is this. Probably some of you guys have experienced this too, but when people newly are new parents, you know, it happens a lot when they're new married couples too, but especially when you're new parents, you kind of go on this kick of taking pictures of your kid and posting them online a lot. Now, our baby, Katie and I are having a baby, and our baby's not due till Christmas Eve, but I'm sure that I will fall into that, if you want to call it a trap. I'm sure I'm going to fall into that because I like to brag, you know. I mean, that's not really, I'm not trying to be prideful, but I'm already proud of my kid, and my kid's not even born yet. But I think that a lot of times people can view that as like annoying or like, oh, it clogs up my Facebook all the time. There's nothing but pictures of babies and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I can see how it could be annoying, but then again, the reason I think that people do that, and the reason why I've never had a problem with people doing it, is because that parent, that person, that man or that woman has found a newfound love. You know, that they have found this thing, they have found this source of love that they had previously unknown. You know, it kind of, I mean, like I said, it happens when you're newly married and you realize what that true selfless love is with your spouse. But then I think it also happens when you see your child and you see your child grow and thrive, and you just take that sense of pride. I think that that's why people kind of go overboard with the sharing of baby pictures and stuff like that. And I think that that's awesome and beautiful. You know, they, in a sense, are evangelizing because they're showing they're giving another example of what selfless love looks like. One of the cool things, I think this is something I'll share another time, but my biological father, who I met several years ago, is a pastor of a non-Catholic church. They're non-denominational, but he's a man of God, and he loves Jesus, and he loves his family, and he said this great thing to me once, and I'm sure that it's been said plenty of times, but it just kind of stood out that he said that. He said, "Isn't it amazing that when God really wanted to truly and intimately reveal himself to man, did not send the image of a father, he sent the image of a son. He sent his son. And that we have a certain connection for children." And I think that my inevitable point with this is that when we find those things that we've truly fallen in love with, we want to share them with the world, because we find them to be beautiful and glorious and deserving of sharing. And I don't think our faith is any different than that. I think our faith should be at the forefront, the thing that we share the most with the world. And it should be in every aspect of our life. It should be in the way that we speak. It should be in the way that we conduct ourselves. It should be in the way that we are in our public lives and in our private lives. But I think that we should, if we know who Jesus is, if we really have a relationship with him, we should have the utmost desire to share him with other people, to share our beautiful faith with other people, because it's something that we're so in love with. Why wouldn't we want somebody else to know something that we're so in love with? The same way that parents brag about their kids, the same way that newlyweds brag about their spouses. And we are, we are his children, and we should be so in love with him that we should be like, look at this. This is awesome. The same way that we look at our spouses and we're like, my wife is the bee's knees, and I want to tell everybody about her, and I'm going to brag about her because she rocks. I don't know. I think that that's one of the big spirits behind this year of faith, that we really celebrate that new evangelization. Pope Benedict XVI said that this is an opportunity for us to evangelize and to speak to those and share our love with Christ with those who maybe don't know him, who have maybe known him but then no longer acknowledge him and have turned away. Maybe people who aren't part of our faith anymore and have walked away in one way or another, to encourage them to look at it again and fall back in love with that faith again. So that's kind of why we're doing what we're doing. I know Abe and I have never really mentioned it, and we'll kind of go a little bit more in depth into it, but we're doing this because we want to share something that we've fallen beautifully in love with. whether it's victories or struggles, whether it's triumph or sorrow, faith is faith, and a relationship with Jesus it can sometimes be tumultuous, but we make it that way. And we're going to be honest and transparent about that, and we're not going to say that it's all sunshine and lollipops, you know? It can be hard, you know? Being a Christian is hard, and sometimes you get a lot of junk from people for believing what we believe. And I think one of the things that before I just go ahead and shut myself up because I'm rambling, but one of the things that I read in Scripture the other day, that's one of those passages that I kind of skimmed over, and I came back and I saw it, and I was like, whoa, is that Christ reminds us, he says, remember, before the world hated you, they hated me first. And that's and that statement is so specific, but also very all-encompassing, you know? That no matter what our struggles are, he struggled more. Not the sense that he struggled like with sin or anything like that, but he undertook the utmost of struggle. He bore all things onto himself so that we could be free. And I think that that's beautiful, and I think that that's directly in line with that spirit of new evangelization, that we are free to be able to share that faith with the world, and we should be taking this year of faith to do that. Now, you don't all have to post YouTube videos and be tweeting about it all the time or whatever, but it's in the simple things, you know? And anyway, that's just kind of where my head and my heart were at today. So I guess the question I have for you is, if you're watching this, if you're participating in this, if you're reading, if you're growing in this year of faith, what are you doing to evangelize and to spread the faith, you know, because we're called to do that during this year of faith. So that's my question to you. What are you doing? How are you evangelizing during this year of faith? So leave a comment below. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. If you don't have a YouTube account, it takes like 5 seconds. You can make one. If you have a Gmail account, it's built into your Gmail account. And that way you can kind of stay up to date on all the things that we're doing. Also, don't forget to check out, follow us on Twitter. It's at iYearofFaith. And, you know, we're hoping you have a good one. Again, you and your family and everybody that you love, your churches, your families, your friends, your enemies, they're all in our prayers, and we're lifting them up during this year of faith. So we'll see you guys soon. I got to get both hands back on the wheel. I got to get back to 10 and 2 here because safe driving. So anyway, hopefully I'll see you guys soon. I hope everything's well with you, and God bless.